All right. So today we will be solving a right triangle. Now, when you're asked to solve a right triangle, it means that you have to find all the missing sides and angles. Now, you will always be given three parts, okay? You will always be given three parts in a triangle. Of course, one of those parts is this right angle. That's one part, okay? In this particular case, you are given the right angle and the two sides, okay? So what we want to do is to find the missing sides and angles. So we want to find this angle. We don't know this. We want to find this angle and we want to find this side. So three of them that we need to determine. All right. Now, let us just label this side right here. Now, remember when you are labeling the side class, sometimes it is help that the sides are labeled using small letters, right? And it is usually dependent on the angle opposite it. So this is angle A. That means that the side opposite angle A will be marked side A using lowercase. This is angle B. So the side opposite that would be marked small letter B. And this is your angle C. The side opposite angle C would be marked side C. Okay? Now, since you are given two sides here, we can always find the third side. So how do you find the third side? Let's find B, which is the third side. What do we use?
Pythagorean theorem.
Pythagorean theorem. So what's the Pythagorean theorem again? A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. All right. Now let's plug in the values. Our A is 4. So that would be 4 squared. Our B is unknown. We do not know B. So let's keep the B in. And then your C is 5. So 4 squared is 16 plus B squared is equal to 5 squared is 25. All right. And then what do we have to do next here? We subtract 16, right? Because we need to isolate the B. So we subtract 16 from both sides. And this will give us 16 cancels out. So you have B squared is equal to 25 minus 16 is 9. And then we get the square roots of both sides to find B. Therefore, your B is equal to 3. Okay? Question. So if you're given two sides, you start with the third side using the Pythagorean theorem. So we have found B. Okay? Next, we want to find, say, we want to find angle A. Okay? So let's find angle A. Now, since we all know the three sides, then you can use either the sine, cosine, or tangent, right? But again, let me tell you that if you use your answer for the first step and this is incorrect and you use it, okay, the A would also be incorrect. Okay, so what I would encourage you to do is to use the parts that's given. So in this particular case, we are given that the C and the A, which is 4. So we might as well use that. So since we're finding A, in relation to A, the 4 is the opposite side, right? You are given the opposite side and you are given the hypotenuse of the right triangle. So if you have opposite and hypotenuse, which one would you be using? Sine, cosine, or tangent? Opposite and hypotenuse. Sine, okay? So we have to use the sine here. Sine is opposite over adjacent, over hypotenuse. What am I saying? All right, so we get sine A. So you have sine A is equal to the opposite side, which is 4, over the hypotenuse, which is 5. Okay? Now, the thing here is we have to use inverse operation. Okay? So we have to solve for sine A, for A. Therefore, we have to get the inverse of sine. Okay? And to do that, we have A is equal to inverse sine. So if you have sine to the -1, the -1 does not indicate an exponent, okay? If it goes with the sine, cosine, or tangent, okay? That -1 indicates an inverse. So we are getting the inverse of sine. So that all you have left here would be the A. So inverse sine of 4 over 5, okay? And it says round your answer to the nearest tenth. So one number, one decimal place. Okay, one digit after the decimal point. Does everybody know how to use inverse sign in their calculators? Okay, so go ahead and make sure, class, make sure that your calculators is in degree. Okay? So make sure that if you're using your TI calculator, make sure that you get click the mode. You click the mode and you have your radians and degree. Make sure that the degree is highlighted. All right, so inverse sine 4 over 5 and one decimal place. What do you get? Now, why don't we do it this way? The sides, let's do it this way. The sides will be rounded off to nearest tenth. And the angles would be nearest degree, meaning integer, okay? So the sides would be nearest tenth and the angles would be the nearest degree. So what would you get here for A? Okay, so you get 53.1. Nearest degree, that would be 53 degrees. Okay? Any question? All right, so we got the A. We're missing the B. Okay? Now, we know that angle B plus angle A would be equal to 90 degrees because the sum of the angles of a triangle is 90. You already have the 90 degrees here. So the remaining 90 degrees would be the sum of A and B. Okay? However, again, if you use this value 53 degrees to find B and your A is incorrect, your B would be incorrect as well. So let us just use that for checking. Okay, we want to use again, the given sides, the 4 and the 5. So to solve for B, let me just write down here, find B. Okay, so in relation to angle B, the given side, this given side is the adjacent side, right? The 4 is the adjacent side. And again, the 5 is the hypotenuse of the triangle. So if you have adjacent and hypotenuse, you have to use the cosine. All right, so to find B, we have to use cosine. So cosine B is equal to the adjacent side, which is 4, over the hypotenuse, which is, wait. Okay, and the hypotenuse, which is 5. That's right. All right. So to get B, we do the inverse again. So B is equal to the inverse cosine this time. Because this is cosine, we'll get inverse cosine of 4 over 5. So what would you get for B, nearest degree? $37. Yep. Everybody got 37 degrees? And now you can check, okay? If you add 53 plus 37, 53 plus 37 gives you 90, which checks out, okay? So if you don't get a 90 or close to 90, it could be 89 because it all depends on the rounding off, right? If you get 89 or 91, that's okay. Plus or minus 1 from 90, okay? So if you get, say, an 88, something must be wrong. If you get a 92, something must be wrong. So go back to your answer and recheck. All right? Any question here? Everything clear, 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 clear? Okay, we'll stop and let you catch on your notes. So when you solve a right triangle, you always find the 3 missing parts. Okay now? All right, let's look at the second example. Okay, so we are given this right triangle here. Let's identify the sides. This is angle A, so the side opposite would be side A, okay? This is angle B, so the side opposite would be side B. And of course, this would be your side C. Okay, in the previous example, you are given 2 sides, right? In this example, you are given a side and an angle. So we cannot use the Pythagorean right away. You only use the Pythagorean theorem if you know 2 sides, right? So we cannot find either A or C yet, okay? But let me mark this up. You are given this side and this angle, okay? So let's find, what is the easiest to find? We know that the sum of the angles of a triangle is 180, right? You already have one right angle here, so that means these 2 angles here, angles A and B, should add up to 90, okay? So since we know one angle, it's easy to find the value of the other angle. So let's find angle B. Angle B would be equal to 90 degrees minus angle A, right? Because the sum should be equal to 90. Let me change it. So B is equal to 90 degrees minus A. If you have any questions, class, put it in chat or unmute yourself. So angle B then would be equal to 90 degrees minus angle A, which is 32. And what is 90 minus 32? 8 minus 3 is 58. Am I right or am I right? So your B is 58 degrees. Okay, that's the easiest to calculate, right? So we've got angle B. Now let's solve for side A. Using the two given parts, okay? So we'll use side B and angle A to solve for A. Okay, in relation to the given angle, side A is the opposite side, right? Let me write down SOHCAHTOA here one more time. Side A is the opposite side. And side B is the adjacent side, right? In relation to the 32 degrees. So you have opposite, we're finding the opposite side. You are given the adjacent side. Which function would we use? Sine, cosine, or tangent? You have opposite and adjacent. That would be your tangent. Okay, so we'll use tangent to find side A. So tangent of the angle 32 degrees is equal to the opposite side, which is A, over the adjacent side, which is 13. All right? Now, how do we find A? We need to cross multiply. Remember? Cross multiply. So let's put 1 under tangent 32 just to process the cross multiplication. Okay, that means you multiply A times 1. A times 1 is A. And then you multiply 13 times tangent 32 degrees. So you have 13 tangent 32. Okay? So all that's left is for you to plug this into your calculator. So 13 tangent 32. Now, since this is a side, let's round this to the nearest tenth. So what do you get for A? Okay, so you get 8.1. Did everybody get 8.1? I input a different number. Okay, so 8.1, right? So that's your A. Very good. So we have done A. Okay, that leaves us with C. Again, although you can use the Pythagorean theorem here now because you know two sides, if A is incorrect, your C would be incorrect as well. So let us use what's given. So this is for side C. Okay, so for side C, C is the hypotenuse of the triangle, right? So you have the adjacent side and the hypotenuse. What function would that be? Adjacent and hypotenuse, you have to use the cosine, right? So we have to use cosine. So cosine of the angle, cosine 32 degrees, is equal to the adjacent side, which is 13, over the hypotenuse, which is your C. Okay? So again, we cross multiply. So let's put over 1 right here. Okay, and let's cross multiply. I'll start with the C on the left side. So you have cosine 32 times C. That would be C cosine 32 degrees, right? And then 13 times 1 will give you 13. Okay? Now, since you're solving for C, we need to get rid of the cosine 32 degrees. Again, to eliminate cosine 32 degrees, since this is multiplication, opposite of multiplication is division. So we need to divide by cosine 32 degrees. Okay? So your cosine 32 degrees would cancel out. And that gives you C equals, so you divide, use your calculator, 13 divided by cosine 32. Since this is a side, we have to round to the nearest tenth, and that gives you 15.3. Yes. Okay, let me just put a summary right here. So to find a side, if the side is missing, we need to use either sine, cosine, or tangent, depending on what's given, right? But to find an angle, we have to use the inverse. Okay, so we have to use either inverse sine, inverse cosine, or inverse tangent. Except, of course, if one angle is given. Then you can just subtract it from 90 degrees. Okay? Questions? All right, so have you finished copying? Okay, the next slide is for you to work on, okay? So for the first slide here, what you want to do is to label the sides, okay? So this would be your side A, this would be your side C, this would be your side B, which means that you have to solve for A because side A is missing. You have to solve for angle A, that's missing, and you also have to solve for angle B. Okay, these three. And then for number 2, you need to solve for angle A. Angle A is missing. Okay, let me just, so this would be your side A, this is your side C, this is your side B, okay? So side B is missing and side C is also missing. So these are the 3 things that you need to find, all right? So let me give you 5 minutes, or that is more than enough time. Let me give you 5 minutes. You do the Pythagorean theorem if you know 2 sides. So in number 1 here, yes, you know 2 sides, so you can use the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, and I just need this for the time. Okay, so here are the answers. Check your answers, all right? What did you get for side A for number 1? Come on. If you don't want to unmute yourself, type it into the chat. Square root of 45. Did everybody get square root of 45? Okay, it says nearest tenth, right? So square root of 45 is 6.7. All right, what about angle A? What did you get for angle A? What's angle A? Very good. Angle A is 48 degrees. And angle B? Angle B is 42 degrees. Okay. Now, if you want us to discuss how we got these values for number 1, type it into the chat or tell us. Okay, so let's go over it. Let's go over this one. So how do we find, since you are given 2 sides here, right? Since you are given 2 sides, you can use the Pythagorean theorem, all right, to find A. So for side A, we use the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. Okay? Now, A, we do not know. That's what we're trying to find out. B is 6. And C is 9. So we just plug in, right? And so therefore, you have A squared plus 6 squared is 36. 9 squared is 81. You subtract 36 from both sides, you'll get 45. 81 minus 36 is 45. All right? And then you've got to get the square root of both sides. So you have, that's where you get the square root of 45, okay? Which is approximately 6.7. So that's our A, okay? So that checks out. Now, what about, let me mark this. So you are given this side and this side. So in relation to angle A, use a different color. In relation to angle A, because we're solving for A here. Okay? This given side is the adjacent side, right? That's the adjacent side. And this side is opposite the 90-degree angle, so that's the hypotenuse. Okay? So if you have adjacent and hypotenuse, you will have to use cosine, so katoa. So that's your cosine, which means cosine A is equal to the side adjacent to A, which is 6, over the hypotenuse 9, right? So we need to get the inverse. Therefore, A would be equal to inverse cosine of 6 over 9. And we have to round this to the nearest degree. So if you put this into the calculator and round it to the nearest degree, you will get 48 degrees. All right. Now for B, for angle B, this is angle B. So for angle B, this side, the given side is the opposite side, right? So you have opposite side and still the hypotenuse. So opposite and hypotenuse, that means you have to use sine. So katoa, opposite over hypotenuse, that's sine. So sine B is equal to the opposite side, which is 6, over the hypotenuse, which is 9. Okay? So we need to get the inverse of sine. Therefore, you get B equals inverse sine of 6 over 9. And again, put this into the calculator and round off to the nearest degree. You will get 42 degrees. And you can check if you add 48 and 42, that gives you 90 degrees. All right? Any question? So this is similar to example 1. All right? And you can do more practice on this in the Desmos activity that's in your module. And that one is self-checking, so you'd know right away whether you got it right or not. All right, so number 2. Let's look at number 2. What did you get for angle A? Everybody should be able to get this. What did you get for angle A? 53. And that's easy, right? To get angle A, you just have to subtract 37 from 90 because you are given one of the acute angles. So just subtract that from 90 degrees. So this is 90 degrees minus 37 degrees. You'll get 53 degrees. What about side B? What did you get for side B? 8.3, yes. Oh, okay, I guess we'll discuss this because I'm getting different answers. So let's say, let's look at B right here. Okay, let me mark the given. So we are given this side and this angle right here. Okay, we will use the given angle class. So in relation to the given angle, side B is the opposite side, right? That's your opposite side. And side A is your adjacent side, right? In relation to the 37 degrees. So if you have opposite over adjacent, you have to use tangent. So tangent 37 is equal to the opposite side, which is B, over the adjacent side, which is 11. All right? And then when you cross multiply, you will get B equals 11 times tangent 37 degrees. Yeah. And that's the purpose, class. That's why I want you to do this. If you don't get the right answer, okay, you might want us to discuss so that you can find what your mistake is. Because when you do that mistake, you tend not to repeat it again. Okay? And you wouldn't know if you're not doing the work. Okay? So you get B is equal to 8.3. And what did you get for C? If you got the wrong answer for B, what did you get for C? Yes, 13.8. See? If you use the B to find the C, you use the Pythagorean, you might be thinking, I've used the Pythagorean theorem because I know one side is 11 and I have already solved for B. But if you get like a mistake when you get the B and you use that, your C would be incorrect. But good job, you did not use what you got for B, okay? And you got the C equals 13.8. So did everybody get 13.8 for for C? Or do you want us to discuss this? Okay, then for C, I'll just write it down here. So for side C, C is the hypotenuse, right? C is the hypotenuse. You are given the adjacent. So the adjacent side is given to be 11. You solving for the hypotenuse. So adjacent and hypotenuse, that would be cosine, right? So you want to use cosine. Cosine of 37 degrees is equal to the adjacent side 11 over your hypotenuse, which is C. So when you cross multiply this, you will get C times cosine 37 degrees equals 11. And therefore C is, you divide both sides by cosine 37. Okay? And you will get 13.8. Good? Are we good, class? All right, flood the chat. I want you to tell me how well you understand the lesson today. Tell me in chat. Okay, this is very good. Okay, so if you answered B, the where is it? This one, on day 2, the right triangle trigonometry practice, this would help you, okay? And if you are still confused and your answer is C, Where is it? Your answer is C. Then I would urge you, if the Desmos practice does not help,